Hi everyone, welcome again. Today I'm going to do a beer review on my Mosaic, the beer formerly known as the Double Mosaic. It's now become just the Mosaic IPA. So first of all, the numbers that I had put into Beersmith to give me an estimate on the ABV was sort of giving me around 7.5 to 8.5%. So that's why I was sort of hoping for somewhere in between that range. But the beer came out at 6.6%. So unfortunately, it's not as high as I wanted. But you know what? I'm still happy with the beer. So we'll give that a try. The other thing, I sort of calculated it to be the mash efficiency was my problem. So it came out at about 60% mash efficiency. So I'm going to go get a beer now. So I'm going to go pour one. I'll be back and we'll have a chat and we'll go through the beer. Okay, so here we go. So here's the beer. The appearance, as you can see, the color of the beer is quite nice. You get that darker, those darker grains start to come through. I guess the thickness of using such a big mash, grain bill is what's come through on this one. It definitely has like a caramelly sort of ambery hue to the beer as well. So appearance wise for a double IPA is definitely spot on. The head, you generally get a bit of a little light soft head. It's got a slight yellow tinge as well. So the appearance of the beer is wonderful. The grains that I put into this beer, so I used a base of Marisota. I used some Munich grain. I used oats for a bit of texture. We used honey malt, carafa, and then right at the end I threw in a bit of dextrose after I did the boil. So that was just a after boil addition. And obviously being a Mosaic, I used totally Mosaic hops throughout the whole beer. So it does have a little bit of that, but we'll hopefully be able to identify it today. So the smell, definitely pulling the grainy, the malty sort of flavour, or smell, sorry. It's slightly biscuity, and I can smell the bitterness of the beer as well, which is strange to say. I guess you'd call that the dankness or the hop oils that you can smell. Yeah, it's definitely smells nice. So it's not as aromatic as I'd hoped, but the beer is it is pulling some nice malty flavours through. So I'm going to give it a sip now. Yep. So again, those smells of the malts are coming through. The flavour is there with the malt. Sweet. It's very sweet, very beer. It I don't know if honey malt sort of gives it a honey flavour or texture, but it does have a bit of honey sweetness to it. The bitterness is high, and I find the alcohol is quite high in this one as well. So when I say the alcohol is high, I know the alcohol content didn't turn out as high as I'd wanted, being a 6.6 rather than an 8 or an 8.5. I think the bitterness helps it taste higher in ABV, so it's sort of like a not solvent, but it just tastes like high in booze. So very boozy. I'll give it another taste. So some of those hop flavors I'm definitely getting the dank hop oils. I'm definitely getting pineapple, and I'm definitely getting a bit of like stone fruit, something like a bit of apricot or peach, or something with something's a bit more firm. Citrusy. It's got a bit of citrusy, and it's got a bit of earthiness to it. Like the malts are sort of giving it that earthy hint alongside with the hop oils and the dankness of the beer. A thing that contributed towards this beer, I don't think, being so high, I think I mentioned this earlier, was my mash. I used a new yeast as well that I'd never used before. I personally think the yeast did its job. It did what it needed to do. It fermented well. It was strong. It fermented right from the start, from the get-go. We had nice action, but it just, for some reason, the ABV just didn't go high, and I totally take that down to the mash efficiency. Doing this beer again, I think I need to try and work on my mashing. So being that maybe I've got to do a 2-stage mash. It's my first double IPA attempt, so it didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, being the alcohol was too low, but the flavor's there. It tastes exactly how I wanted it to taste. It appears exactly how I wanted it to appear. So my calculations were right, I just didn't get the mash right. So I need some probably tips on how to get that done right next time. So if you guys have got any tips or anything, you can comment on the comment section. Chuck it on there, let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys. You know, I'm only going to get better with, you know, help from other friends and other brewers. So you know, speak your mind and chuck it down there. And then finally, yeah, overall the beer's great. The rating, if I was to give it a rating, I would lose points for the alcohol content being the style that I wanted it to be. But if I was judging this as a double IPA, it's definitely up there. So I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. Like it is good. I quite like it. Just the alcohol content wasn't there. So we'll work on that. We'll go back to the drawing board and we'll give it another go. Cheers again for tuning in. Make sure you like any of the videos, you subscribe, tell your mates, get your mates on board, get them to throw me some tips. If you want to know anything else, if you want to know some of my other recipes, check out my other videos. And if you want more information on this beer, just send me a comment or a message, and look forward to hearing from you. So cheers guys, and enjoy. I'll see you next time.